I'm wondering what all the rest of the disciples were thinking when Peter was getting out of that boat. Yeah, first of all, that's what they're saying, because you ever stand up in a boat? What happens when you stand up in a boat? So they're like, sit down, Peter, here he goes again, doing something crazy again. Here goes Peter. And then he steps out of that boat. So now when Peter is walking on the water before he sinks, what do you think those disciples are thinking? Whoa. They're probably getting a little jealous. I mean, come on, think about, see, we look at those Bible stories and we just think, that. But they are no different than the people we sit with in church today. The same people we work with, we sit with, they're just like the folks today. So when you're stepping out doing something that they could have done, but they're not doing, what are they thinking about you? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, look at him. Peter's walking, so now he's probably thinking the same thing too. Looking back at them guys, he's walking, looking around, moonwalking. He's just walking on that water. And then all of a sudden, that's what gets your mind off. Sometimes that pride. Sometimes the people that are looking at you sort of envious, that might want to bring you down, and then in your mind, you're kind of trying to, and first of all, you start off righteous and a good mind, but then you start fighting them kind of, well, look, I'm doing it. And then your mind is off of, it's on you. And the scripture says he was looking at the waves and he was feeling the wind and the waves and all that, and he got scared and began to sink. And that's that. So that's a mixture, just like my sister said. That's a mixture of he had the faith to get out that boat, but then to actually walk on that water was that supernatural faith. And see, if you look at any Bible, most Bibles that you look in, you know how they have little titles over certain parts in the Bibles you're going, it always says Jesus walks on water. But years ago, when I was at juvenile detention talking to those kids, I marked that out of my Bible and wrote in there, Peter walks on water. Because that's nothing. Jesus walking on water, he can do anything. But Peter walked on water. And that's Peter and John. Okay, now think about this. Now that story, we know the story when Peter and John were walking through the temple and that lame man was outside begging? Yeah, silver and gold have I none story, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the deal is that back in those days, it was considered good luck for Jews to give charity just before they went into church, synagogue. And that was their tradition. And so that's why you would have all of these lame people, all these people with these maladies, can't walk, can't see, all this stuff. They would all line in front of the church and beg because it was good luck for a Jew to give charity just before you went in church. So this is a gate called Beautiful. So this guy is sitting out there, this lame guy, and he's just begging like he normally is. So we got Peter and John walking through this gate called Beautiful to the synagogue. There's this man begging for some alms, for some money. Bible says they'd stop. And then they look at this man, and this man looks at them, and the scripture says he looks at them anticipating that he's going to receive something. I'm paraphrasing, okay? And they walk over to this man, and he's looking at him. And he's asking for alms, asking for money, asking what he's asking for. And Peter says to him, I don't have any silver, I don't have any gold, but what I have I give unto you. But the first thing he said, before he said that, he said, look upon us. He said, look upon us. And so what I'm seeing when I see that is that immediately when Peter was looking at this guy that needs this miracle, he remembers how easy it is to get distracted from the source of that power of your faith. Mm-hmm. Okay? See, a lot of times we don't know why we're going through mess. God knows exactly what he's doing. God knows why. God knew that Peter was going to be facing this man later on in his life that was going to need this one little simple word, look on us. Don't look at that lame man next to you. Don't look at this crippled man over here, this blind man over here. Don't think about what anybody's saying. Just look upon us. And he's got this insight because he remembers that time that he took his eyes off of Jesus and he sung. And he's able to use that insight to help this man. Took that man by the hand, lifted him up, and the scripture says that strength came to his feet. So what I'm suggesting is the situations, the relationships, even a lot of the negativities that we go through, all part of the process, part of the plan. And this is part of the peace that we're supposed to have in the midst of all of these. It's just that God knows. Now, either God knows or he doesn't. Now, and I think Kim will tell you, my sister will tell you, my philosophy in life is God is. I came from that atheistic point. I was an atheist. I realized God was. I'm not in this thing because I was raised in the church and I've always been here. I was raised, but I split because there was no God. When I realize there's a God, it's like no matter what, though he slay me, yet will I serve him. And those aren't just idle words. I mean that. No matter the worst terrible thing that you could think of, God is still God. And I will not be swayed. Now, I can be heartbroken. I can be disappointed. But I will not be swayed in my faith. And what I'm suggesting is that's the faith of God that I possess.
But you didn't leave because there was no God. You left because you felt there was no God.
Well, what I'm suggesting is that while at that time, I had the faith in God.
Right, there always was God, you just didn't.
Yeah, but the conversation, this message, is about the difference between the faith in God and the faith that God gives. The faith that I choose. Because if you think about it, every conflict that we have within the denominations and sects in Christianity, every conflict that we have even between the religions that even embrace Father Abraham, okay? The conflicts are from people who have faith in God, okay? Like Saul, okay? Saul was, I think, the last guy on this list. Saul was a religious man, and he was a wise man, and he was dedicated to the church. He had faith in God. That's why he was killing Christians. That's why he was persecuting Christians. He's the one that authorized the stoning of Stephen in the Bible. It was Saul. But he felt that he was doing God a favor. He thought he was purging the church of this infection called Christians because there was a sect that was destroying the church. So he had a faith in God. But he didn't have the faith of God. On that Damascus road, when God met him on that road, at that moment, bam! And Saul's first words was like, Lord, who are you? He knew. Because at that moment, even though he didn't know, he knew. And he even called that voice Lord. And that was the beginning of the change. That was when he... So that's what, with me, I was in a place of faith in God. And I think that is the issue that a lot of our young people have. And that's why if we're not careful, we raise them in the church. We want them to see, and we give them the faith in God. But there is not that faith of God.